Namaste, hello, and welcome to TV9 News. I'm your host Priyanka Deo. Today we have a very special guest. We have with us Rashmi Samant, the master's student from Oxford University, elected the first Indian woman president of the Oxford University Students' Union, but then was forced to resign just days later over her past social media posts. Now, since then, her personal social media accounts have also been affected. And, I don't want to tell her story. I want her to tell it herself. But let's welcome Rashmi on the show. Rashmi, if you could unmute your mic, welcome to the show. Namaste. And thank you so much for being here today.
Namaste, Priyanka ji, and thank you so much for having me over and giving me a platform to voice my side of things.
I think it's really, really important. So, let's get right into the interview here because you're all over social media now, you're all over the news now. What happened? Can you actually, before we start on what happened, can you describe your journey of getting into Oxford? Because it is regarded as one of the most prestigious universities in the world. And you're doing your master's, your MSc over there. Can you describe the process of getting in? When did you decide to apply and what were you going there for?
Well, I applied January last year, and about this time last year, I was fretting about, am I going to get in? Am I not? So, it was one of those points in life where I was very anxious if I'm going to get in or not. It was definitely a very challenging process to make it because it is elite and it's considered to be one of the best institutes in the world, and it was a roller coaster. But I wanted to get in there ever since I can remember, and it was a journey of 4 years of my undergraduate degree, of doing multiple things, of making sure my profile is up to the Oxford standards by doing research to supplement my academics, by learning extra languages to supplement my extracurriculars, to get into student politics, to sort of build a holistic profile. I think it all started with my whole aim of getting into Oxford. And so it's been 4 years of sleepless nights to build that profile that Oxford might consider.
Yeah,
So
and then you got in, and then not only that, you were the first Indian female elected for the student union, and that's huge. So, what was that process like? When did you? Was there an application to get elected, or were you just nominated by someone and then you won the election? What was that process like?
Well, even there, I was a very wild card entry because, I'd just been there for 5 months. And usually, undergraduate students, at the end of their 3 years, they decide to run. So they have an already built social circle and, they know a lot of people. And I get there in the middle of a pandemic, and I only know 6 people in my household because of the whole British rule of 6 people in a single household. And I know 28 people on my course. That's
Yep.
it. That's literally my electoral base, 28 plus 6. And I've just been there for 5 months. And I'm an engineer from sciences background. I don't go to the typical social science and humanities background that contest for these kinds of elections. And I go to Lineker College, which is a postgraduate college. Postgraduate students don't involve in politics. It's just the undergraduates who are very active. So I was a wild card entry. What is she doing here kind of a candidate, like she doesn't fit the MO kind of a person. And but I wanted to give it a try because I feel like I've always been underestimating my, oh, maybe you can't run for president. I've always had that inhibition about my capacity that, try to, go for second best because then, you're more secure about not getting rejected. So I wanted to do that, one of those things in life, like I ran for president at Oxford. Like I wanted to do one of those
Yeah.
things in
Just
life
go
that I
for it, right?
just go for it and
Yeah.
have a wonderful experience maybe. So I was essentially not in it for winning, but I was in it for the whole journey and for the sake of taking the plunge and doing something beyond my comfort zone.
Right. So 28 plus 6, which was your assumed electoral base. What was your reaction like when you actually won it? I'm assuming it's similar to when you got into Oxford in the first place.
So when I got into Oxford, in the first place, I choked and I started to cry. And my father thought, this girl, this poor girl, didn't make it, and we have to do something about it to convince her now. But I think when I won the election, so I was so nervous that I today there was a call in which the whole results were announced, and I refused to attend the call. And but my friends wanted to be on the call because somehow they had the confidence that I'm winning this, though they were one of the 28 people who know me, and they knew that I didn't know more people. And they were on the call, and they were in the adjacent room, and they all started shouting very loudly, and the
Awesome.
entire floor started shouting. So that's how I found out that I won. Basically people started shouting, and they were like,
You're
ah.
on a
So
very
that
low
happened.
electoral base. That's what I tell you. So, I mean, that's so exciting, and that's such a huge deal because, as you said, even for you personally, this was kind of a thing that you did for a lot of self growth and a lot of self confidence because we all have that, especially, when I got into Harvard, my first thought is, are they even gonna accept me, right? Like, why should I even apply in the first place? And that was the only school that I applied to, and I was like, you know what? If I get in, I get in, and if I don't, I don't. So I can totally understand, what you went through because it is actually kind of a confidence and ego booster just for your own self growth, in a good way. And when you finally get in, you're kind of in like this cloud of disbelief slash happiness slash is this really happening slash I did it, all that hard work, as you said, 4 years of sleepless nights culminated just in that one letter, in my case, that one link that you had to, it was terrifying. I got an email and they were like, your decision is here if you click this one link. And when I finally clicked it, I was like, I was like, should I tell my dad to do it? Should I? I didn't want to click it at all. So I was like, no, I think I'm going to do it. If I came all this way, it's like 99%, and then let me find the courage to just click that link to find out if I got in or and it's not the end of the world. So I totally understand all the feelings involved in both you getting into Oxford, which is, as I said before, just one of the best, considered one of the most prestigious and hardest to get into universities. The whole world knows what Oxford is. And on top of that, becoming the first president, right? The first Indian woman president. Um, with that being said, I just want to ask, like after you won, right? It was just a matter of days. Wasn't even like a month or 2 months for the position to settle in because when I got in, it took a while for it to sink in that I've actually got in. So when you won this election and everyone was shouting and happiness, it still takes a while for it to settle in that, oh wow, this actually happened. But all of these allegations started coming up within days of you winning, and you had to step down, and this all happened within a few days. Can you describe what happened?
Well, like you were saying, I was still having signs of imposter syndrome that, that I'm not the president, somebody else has won it, and I'm just looking at her. So it was a sort of that sort of mind frame that I was there. And it was not days, it was hours before the allegations started coming in. And it was basically hate messages that started coming in first.
Through your
Anonymous
social media
bullies.
or officially, or where did they, and by whom?
It was just social media. So, basically those anonymous bully accounts with just 5 followers, just recently created with the intent of bullying someone. So it was just one of those calling me a bunch of things. And I was like, okay, I mean, I need to take the moral high ground there. I'm way beyond these bullies. I have proved a point, and a bunch of bullies are definitely going to be behind my back. But when what started getting worse is that these people started finding basis to substantiate allegations by misconstructing some of my, old social media captions from as far away as 2017. And to think of it now, now that I've had the time to come back and settle back home, I've sent a few of these around for consultation for people who are within these movements that that I'm accused of, and they don't seem to find any issues with it. And now I'm really concerned with the whole nature of this incident that happened with me, and the barrage of accusations which were just being which were just being showered upon me. I just feel like it was a sort of a mob that descended on me with a very strong ethos of cancel culture, of basically just canceling me out because I did not conform to a particular school of thought, which is quite prevalent among certain circles in Oxford, and it sort of turned into a witch hunt, wherein the initial
Let's stop
demand
right
was for
there,
me to.
Rashmi. I just, it's very interesting that you use the words cancel culture and witch hunt, because I think that's super important, and that's normally what happens, when you have a barrage, as you said, of hate messages coming at you. So let's, I think this is really important, and I've not seen this in your, you've obviously interviewed before and appeared on TV and media in the past for this issue. But let's, for those that don't know, I'd like to go through the three main allegations that were against you. Let's go through each of these allegations. I'd really like to go through the three of them, especially, one by one. And as you said, some of these posts that you made and some of these things that you were accused of were done years ago, right? So the first one was, I believe, a picture of you in Malaysia, all the way back in 2017. So how old were you? And you were accused for putting ching chang, which angered a lot of Chinese students. It was basically taken as a racist comment. So can you describe kind of when you were putting that post, if you remember, what was your thought process behind the caption?
Well, it definitely was not, a racist or a malicious intent. And, I've been just so tired of, explaining it to people that,
And how
I did
old
not
were
mean.
you? I mean, that was 2017 was years ago. So how old were you at that point in time?
I was like a teenager, like I think barely 17, 18, and I don't even remember, exactly like what was going on, or but I know this for a fact that I'm not a racist person. Like, I've never judged people on how they look, or how they speak, or how they they dress or anything. So that's never been a part of me, or like of judging others. And so I know that it did not come from a bad place, and it was something, it was something that you do out of a spur. You hear some words, and then rhyming words, and then you have this, I don't know, it was one of those times when I was traveling. I started traveling for the very first time in my life, and on my own, and going around the world. And I thought, hey, I'm going to become an Instagram influencer, so I'm going to have pictures, and I'm going to have fancy captions which rhyme, which chime, but not disrespect any community, because that's not, I mean, what's the whole, I mean, I don't see any point in it. And it was my own picture, and it was just a caption. And it to be honest, it was something we looked up on, like Google Translate, and it's something that we looked up, Chinese to English like translation, and it translated to like eat that plant. And we were all like, hey, I am like such a vegetarian, and it was very hard for us to find vegetarian food for me in Southeast Asia. And I'm a very typical, I need like vegetarian food, and I'm very huge on sustainability and stuff, even since I was a child. So, not a child, but a late teenager. So it's been a big part of my identity. And it was a joke that, hey, how are we going to feed her here, because it's so difficult to get veg food. And there were a bunch of Southeast Asian people in my group, and they did not take offense at it, and they thought it was quite funny that that I have that caption up. And it was an internal joke. And at that point, my Instagram was private, and it was just me, a bunch of my friends, that's it. And I think in 2017, 2019, there were times when we weren't talking about political correctness. All these conversations were not being had. And, the kind of background I have, we are engineers, we barely know, outside our bounds. And, these are not conversations that middle class families in India have on their dining tables. Like we have conversations about other things, but it doesn't mean that we are not genuine, caring, and loving people. We are, and just because
So
we
it
don't
sounds
sound
like
right.
and especially since you said you had other friends from Southeast Asia with you in Malaysia at the time. It seems like just honestly something that you Googled and you were just trying to put up a cool caption to a cool picture,
Yeah.
probably. And let's go to the next post that you had done, which was of the Berlin Wall. Um, what exactly was the picture, and what was the post that you had put up?
So it was a picture at the Berlin Holocaust Memorial, and the caption was, "This memorial casts a hollow reflection of the past atrocities and deeds, and reflecting on it gives us the power to, live vouching for a better future," which is basically condemning the Holocaust and saying that, it's all about it. You come here and you get pensive, and you get to learn so much about how horrible of a history we've had, and what terrible things we've done as as a society, and just it gives us the power to vouch for a better future, and the gives us the energy that we need a better future, because there have been so many ugly incidents in the past. That was my whole point. But
So
so the
how did that, I mean, even when you just said the caption to me right now, how did that turn? Because what you've said is
yeah.
honestly, I can't find anything bad in it just off the top of my head. But what did the trolls say to that? And what were the
So
allegations against you on that
the,
post? How did it turn into, something that you support the Holocaust, basically?
basically the allegations were you're anti-Semitic, that you hate the Jewish community, and it was because I had said this memorial casts a hollow reflection. So it's a pun, basically. I speak Kannada. Kannada is my mother tongue. We are phonetic people. So just rearranging words to that's something that you do. The way you speak, the way you caption things, you try to be articulate in a very high-handed fashion, and that was it. And using a pun or using rhyming words doesn't make me insensitive or a Jew-hating person. I mean,
Yeah, because the rest of the caption, there was, I mean,
even
it
like,
was recognizing the atrocities of the
but
Holocaust.
what is wrong in using a pun? A pun is a figure of speech. It is not something you use in humor. It is just a way of talking or a way of expressing yourself. And what matters is what you've used it to express, sorrow, or, what. So I feel like your intent has to be seen, not your, not
Correct.
the fact that you trying to make meanings out of it. I still feel appalled by how it was dragged into the foray.
With that being said, let's go to speaking of being dragged, let's go to the third main allegation against you, which was, speaking of being dragged, as you said, the third sort of major allegation against you, which was on the LGBTQ community, specifically on transgendered women. Can you can you describe what you had said? What happened there, and how was it perceived as?
So the statement was something like, sending love to all the amazing women, trans women, and the men who support us. So it was a huge caption about
So you
girl
made the
love.
differentiation basically between trans women and I mean you segregated women and trans women. Was that what happened over there?
Basically, that's one way of looking at it, but the way I looked at it is sending love to women, trans women, and the men who support us. That's literally, I wanted to be over inclusive, and I wanted to, you know make sure that I am acknowledging every sort of, because in society we've evolved now, and then there are more communities, and the communities have been struggling to get recognition, and I think part of the community still wants to be uh, you know um, addressed separately. So there's there are three different campaigns going on. So uh, that was what I knew, and that was it. That was my knowledge of trans etiquette, and it's not something, that I wanted to do to insult them, or it was just sending love. And it was about being inclusive. It was about, it's just so hard these days to just say anything, or and then be perceived as someone who's phobic of something, and the intention is completely lost. They're not trying to see that, the fact is that I'm trying to support and send love, and it's all about girl love, that post. And it's not about separating. The point of that post was not separating. It was about the amazing women, the amazing, community that we have. It was not about the intention of that post was not to separate communities. It was about celebrating the communities we have.
If you,
So
well, I have one important question for you, because it seems that the intention of your post was very positive, actually. It was just these words, and how these words were perceived, and as you said, puns. The way that you'd written it, which was kind of turned against you, as you say. If you, like, as I said before, these posts were written years ago. Malaysia was in 2017, and all of these statements that you made were in the past. If you were to, suppose, go to Malaysia today and take the exact same picture, or go to the Berlin Holocaust Memorial today and take the exact same picture, or say, make a statement on the LGBTQ community, is there anything that you would do differently in those posts? Would you phrase them differently, or have your thoughts, have your views changed or evolved since then? Because as you said, I think you were barely 16 when you made the Malaysia post, and those teenage years are very, very formative years. And as you said, you've never had these conversations before, and it takes a while for your ideology and what you feel about things to really develop.
well, to be honest, after this election and everything, I'm just too traumatized to even talk about any community, because I'm so scared that someone's going to find another meaning out of what I'm saying, because it's just too brutal, and the mob is just too brutal. So I think I'm just too traumatized to even caption my pictures in a fun, in a catchphrasey, in a Instagrammy way. I just don't feel like I'm going to even talk about these communities going forward for a while, because I'm just too scared that somebody is going to find a fault. And again, because there's already a tag that she's transphobic, anti-Semitic, and racist. And so it's just like, it's just going to be more fuel to the fire. I think me saying anything at all about these communities, and someone's going to find fault, not necessarily people within the community. Now that everybody's decided to get involved, it's going to be anybody, just with the intention of taking offense, and they're going to take offense at my posts. So
Is there, have your, well, let's put it this way. I mean, forget just captioning something on Instagram, because I mean, that's fine. Everyone does it. Everyone has Instagrams here and social media accounts. Have your thoughts and have your ideologies, for whatever, in terms of politics, in terms of the way you think about things, the way that you feel about communities, have they evolved over these years? It's been, since 2017 now. It's been it's been more than 3-4 years since then. So now you're a master's student. Back then you were still in college. Have your thoughts evolved?
even if I was young and still in college, I think I've always respected and loved every community, and I still do that. Maybe I've I've learned to use polished words, and to go to now that I go to Oxford and things like that. But I think I'm still the same genuine person who does not hate any community. And even if I was 17 back then, I did not hate the Jewish community. It's not that 5 years have passed and I've stopped hating, stopped or started hating any community. I've never hated any community to begin with, and it's sad that in today's society I'm having to literally tell everybody that I don't hate any
Yeah,
community. That that it's just that it was perceived in a wrong way, and it looks like it was perceived with malicious intent to me. I've never hated any community, and there's no question of evolution because it was just not there. Because those people have never done anything wrong with me, and vice versa.
correct.
So there's no reason for me to hate any community, and I still do not. I mean, despite this episode, I still don't have reasons to hate any community at this point. But it seems as if the society is hell bent at convincing me that I hate these communities. At this point, it feels like there are a bunch of people out there who want to convince a bunch of people that they hate a certain community and then target them for it. It looks like कि they're
You're the
out of topics or out of causes to fight for,
yeah,
and so they need to make something. So let's paint someone, let's paint someone as a demon so that we can take them down. It's literally a witch hunt. Let's make somebody the demon and then take them down. Whereas I've never hated these communities, and why is it hard for you to believe that?
yeah.
This is just
It's super
ridiculous.
important that you said that, because these posts that you made and these allegations against you took an even uglier turn. And as you said, it wasn't even days; it was just hours later. When did this entire thing become a Hindu bashing episode?
When a faculty member twice my age from the Department of History, who had no business in student politics, decided to just butt in and write an Instagram dissertation on me, my family, my university from where I graduated before coming to Oxford, my hometown, and brand me Islamophobic, and that I'm a Sanatani person, that I come from the bastion of far right Islamophobic forces, that my campaign was somehow funded by Modi ji, that that I am basically an imposter, like somebody who didn't deserve to win at all to begin with, but somehow won because of the graces and because of the power of some far right forces. And he made it all about something so negative, and it became a complete Hindu bashing episode at one point. And what appalls me is that this post is still up 24 days, 25 days, since 25 days. And at least when people said that, hey, like, even if it was misconstructed or whatever, I had the sensibility to archive all my Instagram posts, because I was sensitive that even if by the end of the day you're trying to be aggressive to me, I am sensitive to your emotions, and I do want to hear your side of things, and I want to take it down so that we can have a civilized debate about it once we separate emotions from it, which is basically
Fair
stop
enough.
having some material in the public domain which might be making other people uncomfortable. And
Right.
here is a man who has taken my name, Rashmi, the Hindu president elect. He has put pictures of my parents there, and waveringly he's put it up there, and not one of these students who was so aggressive towards me, who were all leading this campaign of righteousness, find this offensive. They've not uttered a single word about this man making this post, or not called in for his resignation, or not caused the same clamor that was caused to, bring about my resignation. They're all silent. It just shows the hypocrisy that, that all I care was, it just looks like all they cared was to make sure that I was not the president and not about the issue itself. If people cared about the issue, then this is a bigger issue, because here he has named me and then decided to racially and in every way discriminate me, and in every way insult me, defame me, harass me, bully me as a faculty member, and as someone who's been an academic for as long as I've even been born.
Mhm.
It's It's
Wow.
ridiculous, the hypocrisy of the society, that what you want to focus on and what you don't. How self-serving this society is. It's just
Which, it's I'm silent because I'm honestly shocked. It's, as you said, these faculty members work really hard to get where they're at, and what shocked me the most is, you said this post is still up. If anything, the post should be taken down for this time period, because it's such a sensitive sort of time period for you. And as you said, people are just silent about it. It's the post is still up. There's, nothing's being done about it. Do you feel that we're kind of, you know made to pay, because it seems that no one was ready to really listen to you, and you've expressed that nobody was ready to listen to me. It was kind of just, let's just malign her, and then just go with that, and then that's just what happened, and it kind of spiraled into this, Hindu bashing thing, and it just went out of control, if I can use that phrase. Did you feel
yeah.
made to, kind of sort of made to pay for those past allegations, because you decided to step down from president?
Well, I think part of the reason was because there were like articles being written about me left, right, straight in news outlets without giving proper context. It was branded, actions, transphobic actions, anti-Semitic actions of the SU president-elect, as if, it was portrayed as if, I'm going out on the streets, calling out people, and, being actively anti-Semitic or something. And the whole context was lost. People stopped saying that, hey, we're saying all this because of, my side of things were not portrayed in a, I was basically, the jury was already passed, the judgment was already done, and it was just, it turned into literally bashing me. And I felt like if I would continue, then I would just have to keep up with this barrage of insults about, me and the kind of person I am. And, more and more people get sucked into this narrative because it's easier for humans to assume the worst in fellow human beings and not give them the benefit of doubt. Just, I don't know. And, it's just so toxic out there that I just felt that, that I've been humiliated to every possible extent, and continuing here is just going to get worse. And it's not like I'm just the president of the Oxford SU. I'm also a student who needs to get her degree and, write her assignments and do her dissertation.
That's
Can
the
you
main.
imagine?
Yeah.
Can you imagine somebody who's going through so much trauma, who wakes up to like a bash, a hateful article about her, like 3 articles per day, and still have to go through with assignments, still have to go through with meetings, still have to go through with classes? Can you imagine this? Like, the workload in Oxford is immense. It's known for being the most stressful academic, space. And it was just impossible for me after a point, because it was literally, people just deconstructing my personality piece by piece, and everybody just, jumping into the pool to get a pound of flesh. And they completely forgot that it's an actual human being at the center of it, who has feelings, who's there, like, who's a real person in the center of this. And it just evolved into something so vicious that I wouldn't even wish it upon my worst, enemies. It was so
Sounds
bad. It
terrible.
was so bad. I still have nightmares about it, I just feel
I
like
can
somebody's
imagine.
actively
Yeah.
spreading hate about me and spewing venom about me, writing something terrible about me. I still actively, I have that feeling. And I wake up, dreading the fact that, oh, now I have to like take my phone off airplane mode and, look at my messages, because I dread that among the messages from my friends and my, group, there's going to be those bullies who are going to, slide in and, spoil my day. I'm still scared every time my, the notification sound goes on, because I still feel that, it could be one of those bullies. It's just so traumatic. It's just so traumatic. No matter how brave you are or how courageous you are, because, you're seen as that one just because you put yourself out there and won an election. You're seen as, somebody with a metallic armor who doesn't feel anything. But no, we feel more, and we've put ourselves out there. We literally put our entire selves out there in the street, literally, for you to throw stones on. And you're literally sitting in the comfort of your homes, and in the comfort of your in your comfort zone, basically, and
Yeah.
attacking someone who's literally taken the step to get out of comfort zone.
Yeah, it's very easy for someone, as you said, to kind of sit in their living rooms and bash another person just because they can. And it's more than just receiving a notification and getting scared about it. As you yourself said, it's about deconstructing someone's identity, which has an identity is so important, and especially at Oxford, where as you said, the main things are just trying to go about your day, and it's stressful enough to be a student in these universities. Just trying to get through your day and finishing your coursework, and that is a bunch of stress on you. And in addition to all of this, I mean, I've been to these universities, and there were times where I'd be walking, and I thought that I looked nice and presentable, and people would just walk up to me saying, "Oh God, you look so stressed out. Are you okay?" And that was just with the classwork itself. So with that being said, it's the phrase that you've used, deconstructing an identity. I just want to ask you on that. For all the people that have reacted and been a part of this, just want to ask you straight up, are you a Hindu bigot?
No.
How would you describe yourself in terms of, I like that answer actually. Very direct answer to a very direct question. Um, how would you describe yourself in terms of religion? Since this did become a anti-Hindu sort of bashing, and how,
Well, religion is very important to me because I was raised with very strong, in a family which is very deeply rooted religiously. And it is something that's a part of my identity. All the festivals, the rituals, everything, it's a part of my identity. And it gives me faith to go on when everything else fails. Especially, I think at that one moment when everything was, I felt like the whole world was up against me. Articles were being printed about me left, right, straight on all news medias. I think it was faith that got me through it, saying there's going to be a better day. If not for that faith in a higher power than myself, I don't think I would have been able to get out of this situation rationally. So I think it's something that's given me a lot of courage, a lot of inspiration to take a leap of faith, and to sort of believe in myself. It's something. It's truly a very important part of my identity, and it's something very special to me. But at the same time, I am of the belief that it also comes with acceptance. So if anybody walks up to me and straight up and says that they are an atheist or an agnostic person, I would very much respect that. But I would not welcome anybody telling me that because they have been agnostic or atheist or an atheist, that that makes me somehow a bigot for following my religion. It's all about uh, accepting each other for who they are. So I would expect the society to be respectable of my beliefs. At the same time, I don't expect them to follow what I follow. It's something personal. It's something close to me. So please respect that. Not just just because Hindus or something. Any person following their religion, please respect that, even if you have differing views about religion. It's something close to people's identities, and it's something people find very special and connect with. And attacking that is like attacking something close home. Like it's like trying to defame your parents, or trying to defame something which is a part of your identity. So something that others shouldn't do.
Well, after this entire thing, I guess, spiraled, and became a huge issue where all of us knew about it. You did receive, Rashmi, a lot of support, especially from the right, right? So you did receive that support, albeit late, when this issue was kind of already for you personally out of control, and you had to face this ostracism quite a bit. But you did receive a lot of support from the right. Um, I think an important thing to ask you is, were you uh, were you comfortable with that support, or did you feel that again, with the support you, or the kind of support I should say, that you received from the right, you were again being forced into a corner where, corner that you just didn't want to be in?
Well, I like to give people the benefit of doubt, and the fact that people are supporting is step one to building a better society. But at the same time, I would not want to brand it left or right or whatever, because by the end of the day, I'm an engineer who deeply cares about who deeply cares about technology and bringing about change in the society and everything. So I think to me my commitment is to society more than to any wings of our society. But since they are a part of society, I think it's only natural that the wing that they get involved. But at the same time, I think I have seen only myself to be the center of this whatever going on, whatsoever that's going on. And I would like to just keep it that way to to me and my issue and what I'm representing. And if people want to talk about it, and if people want to join with it, they're more than welcome, for whatever reason. But I'm advocating for it and I'm speaking about it for myself. And, that is not going to change because certain parts of society are going to decide to support me today, or maybe decide not to support me tomorrow. But, my stand is going to stay, and, it's going to be unwavering. I think that is one thing that's going to stay out of this whole episode.
Yeah. Rashmi, it takes a very strong person to say that, and I respect you, personally, for just sticking up to what you believe in, regardless of what support you get, or what support you may receive, or what support you may not receive in the future. I'm super inspired by that answer. And you did, after all of this, you did offer a formal apology, right? Has that turned things around, or do you feel that people just aren't listening?
No, it hasn't, sadly. So I did make an apology because I feel that you must always take the moral high ground for the betterment of society, because there's too much negativity out there. And if people are hell bent on thinking that you're wrong, then so be it. At least apologizing doesn't suddenly make you the wrong person or the bad person or anything. It's just because you're a nice person that you have the courage to apologize. But sadly, I think it's not taken in a good way. People still think that the apology was not genuine and blah blah blah. But I think
What
it's
did you
more telling.
say? Which is, I mean, what I have the, what you've said, but could you tell me what you've said in the, because it seemed like a pretty straightforward and genuine apology. What did you say in that apology?
The gist was just that that I apologized to everybody who were hurt by the chain of incidents, and that I was personally willing to reach out to them, have conversations that would make them more comfortable, and make changes maybe in the way I present myself, so that the community would feel more comfortable, and that these disagreements wouldn't arise in the future. But the fact that it wasn't taken is very telling
How
of
did
the kind of
people take
people.
that? That seems pretty straightforward to me.
Yeah.
And it also shows that you're willing to, number one, you didn't mean to offend anyone, which is what you pretty clearly said. And number two, you're also willing to reach out and talk to these people to clear out any, sort of misunderstandings. How was that taken in a negative regard? How did people react to that? Can you give an example?
Yeah, basically they were like, it's not genuine, you're not showing enough remorse, and so on and so forth. And I believe that it's more telling of the kind of people they are than of the kind of person I am. So at this point, I think I am beyond caring for what these people believe, or these people truly this thing, because at this point there's nothing more that I could have done,
Yeah.
nothing more that a rational person could have done. And if people are hell-bent on being irrational, then I think even I deserve to take my stand and to stay my side of things. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's super important. And as you said, I was just going to ask you, do you feel if there's anything more you could have done? And because I couldn't think of anything more you could have done, but there really wasn't. And you're kind of just put into a point where you're like, okay, I've apologized. Now, what more do you want me to do? And if you're still going to be hating after this, then what can I do about it? So what's
I think the whole mob culture, the whole cancel culture is to make sure that these people just get cancelled, basically. So it is, in a way, pushing people, it is, I think, in a way, trying to push people to suicide, because you're trying to make them feel that they're not doing enough, or that that they can never be accepted by the society. It's a feeling that they try to instill in you, that no matter what you do, you're never going to be accepted in society. You're never going to get that second chance. You're never going to be forgiven. Like, you've done something so bad that you're never going to be this thing. So it's a sort of, I think, strategy that's been pushing, that tries to push people to suicide. And I seriously think that there needs to be more, that there needs to be more information in society, there needs to be more awareness, so that this sort of culture stops, this sort of cancel culture stops. And honestly, there's not much that I could have done, and I'm truly grateful to the support system that I have, which prevented me from taking that route, and from taking the route where I actually stand up for myself and not feel like, oh my god, I'm a failure. No matter what I do, or what I say, it's not going to, that whole guilt trip that they try to push you into, even when you know that you haven't done anything wrong, that you've never meant to harm anyone, or to make anybody feel this thing. And it can go both ways, and I'm truly grateful to the support system that I've had. I'd like to say that.
you must have had a very high opinion of, I mean, I know you did, you when you got in to Oxford, as you said, you choked on the phone, and your father thought that you didn't get in and said, oh God, now what do we do? You must have, during this entire application process, the fact that you applied to Oxford, and 4 years of sleepless nights, it took a lot of hard work to get in. You must have had a very high opinion of Oxford. Now, after this incident, what's your opinion of Oxford, and would you recommend the university to, let's say, other students or even your future kids who are going to apply one day?
I think Oxford is beyond this incident, that it's been around for like almost 900 years now, and it's just beyond these two small incidents or something. Of course, more people should apply. That they should apply. They should get there, because and they need to be a part of the change that the university needs right now. Because I think in the recent past, there have been some forces and some elements which have made the society, the community a little extreme. But I feel that if the right kind of people do get in, I mean, it's a wonderful place. I've had some really good memories, and this election in no way will erase those good memories or the good times, or my rapport with the department, the education I've been receiving, or the support from my housemates, my course mates. That's not changed through this. It's just a bunch of random people who've never known me bullying me, basically. And it is a huge university. So I feel that, yeah, every university, every community, every incident in this world is beyond just that incident. And I wouldn't want to put a negative connotation on anything, and just say that, oh, don't go there, or like ban this or ban that. I feel that everything has some scope to change. And
It's so
yeah.
brave of you to say that, because the statement you made before is that this sort of cancel culture and mob culture does lead to some very negative paths that a person can take. Because if you're that ostracized, and it's sort of like a darned if you do, darned if you don't, that no matter what you do, you're just this wrong person. And you've done something so wrong, so morally wrong in every way that you just can't come back from it. And you use the words committing suicide. Did those thoughts ever come to you?
Well, I think I've had a good support system, so thankfully not. But I've had some pretty, deep issues with handling, this whole situation, because I was at a point where I did believe that, I've done something so morally wrong that, equivalent to committing murder or something, because the whole mob got to me. They got to my psychology. They started making me believe that, I've done something terribly wrong, whereas in fact I hadn't. And because it's hard to believe that you haven't done anything wrong when the whole world, it feels like the whole world is telling you, and it's just a small vocal minority which is trying to get into your head.
What
But
were some of those dark moments? And I think it's important that they be described, because you appear to be such a strong person when I'm looking at you. But you did face really deep challenges with this. Even the fact that you're saying some students, it does lead to suicidal thoughts, and you had a support system, but that doesn't make it easy because you have to face it every day, right? At the end of the day and at the beginning of the day, you have to wake up to it, you have to face it. And I can be your biggest support, but you still have to go through it.
you still have
What was the darkest moment for you?
I think it was moments before I resigned. I called up my father and I told him that I'm so sorry that I disappointed you, but I have to resign, and I was crying. And my father was, he also got all teary, and he was like, no bete, like you haven't disappointed, because I just felt like I disappointed people by not being the person, or no, by not being that person, that I was expected to be or something, whereas I very much was. And I had completely lost the belief that I was a good person, that I think moments before I resigned was very dark for me, because these people had managed to push me into a space where I truly believed that that I've committed a grave like crime, or like a grave mistake, or something there's no coming back from. And I was so shaky and so shivery about the whole chain of events, and the situation I was in. And I think that was the darkest moment for me, when I really felt like I was in a dark space, to be honest. It felt like a black hole with like absolutely no light coming in, and it was very, very hard for me. But to be honest, my the words from my father or my mother, all of them at that point, they were incredibly supportive, and they were the ladder, they were the ray of light that I needed in that incredibly dark space. And to literally find my strength back. And it happened that I did find my strength back. I did find my belief back that I've never been a terrible person, and that I've never hated any community. And it is true. No matter how many times you tell me now, even if you tell me a billion times that, I hate this community, I hate that community, I'm not going to believe it, because I don't hate
Yeah.
these communities. And you cannot convince me otherwise, just because you want a new demon to ostracize, or to burn, or an effigy to burn. It's literally like trying to make an effigy to burn, just because you have some pent up anger, or some sort of pent up frustrations about something. I'm not going to be that person, and I'm not going to let you do that to another person in
Do
society.
you feel that, now that this incident is, I mean, you're in the limelight, are people looking at you differently? Do you feel that if you walk in Oxford, uh, people will look at you differently? Your friends change, your circle. I think you said you had a fairly strong support system this entire way through, which is so important. But I mean, it seems to me your entire student experience, which is also so important as you go through the university, it's just completely turned around because of this incident. Do you feel people and faculty judging you or looking at you differently now if you do go back, or once you do go back?
I think that's the beauty of science, technology, and engineering department, that nobody judges you for these things. They judge you for the person you are, and they know the person I am. So they don't judge people based on captions, or they don't judge people based on public opinion of others. They judge people for who they are. And the fact that I haven't changed as the person I am, I'm still the same person, has not changed their opinion of me, because we keep having team meetings and everything, and we still have the same rapport. If not anything, they are more sympathetic and more, they're more concerned about what happened to me, and that I didn't deserve any of it. So I think that's it. So I think I've got a really mature circle, and I thank all my stars every day for it. That that I have this mature circle who is beyond looking at captions, and who's beyond looking at words and twisting them around to find some meanings that that they could use to serve their purposes.
Now
But
you've expressed, multiple times, Rashmi, that nobody is willing to listen. So, during this interview, I want to ask you, let's sort of make them listen. What is it that you'd say? Because, I'm so happy to hear that you have that sort of mature circle around you. That doesn't happen in a lot of cases, and of course your case is very extreme, but this sort of ostracizing does happen, and it does happen very prevalently on campuses. um, let's sort of make them listen. What is it that you want to say? And I really want you to express that from your heart on this platform.
I just want to say that it's not okay to do what you're doing, and that, as the future of this society, the sort of belief system and the sort of social media trials that you're creating is not okay. It is really not okay, because it can have some really, permanent and lasting effects on the lives of people. And to try to ruin them like this is totally not okay, because a lot of people don't have the courage to come out, stand up, and tell their side of things. And the moment you victimize them like that, it's not going to be okay, because one day someone's going to do the exact same thing to you, and you won't be able to handle it. So you should have that thought in mind, that one day this is all going to come to you, come back to you, and you need to stop spewing so much negativity into society. Because today you might be in your comfort zone, being a keyboard warrior and pulling people down. But what comes around, it goes around, it comes to a full cycle, and when it happens to you, you will not be able to take it. So you need to take active measures to stop doing it, so that it doesn't happen to you. So I just feel like people need to really know this, and people really need to give others the benefit of doubt. People really need to stop believing the worst in fellow human beings, and be more kind and more inclusive in the real sense, in the real world, and not in the middle of, so in in social media or something, because that's not the real world. The real world is people just being nice to each other, their intentions and their their actions and everything. It's really not okay to malign someone like this.
Spoken like a true president-elect. So it's I'm sure that you would have
Thank
made a great president, and it was such a great thing that you achieved, and I want to congratulate you on that. And
thank
I'm sorry that my congratulations is coming so late in this interview, but now that you have stepped down, and now that you're back in India, what's next for you? What's your plan of action now?
I'm going to get done with my course, and I think I've put enough positive energy into the universe that something good is going to come up. And I haven't planned anything yet. Currently, I'm just focused on getting my course done, but hopefully, good things are to come.
Yeah.
So my faith doesn't allow me to think that it's all going downhill from here. So my faith, I've got strong faith that good things are to come. So
And that's such a great way to look at it, because they always do to good people. Good things always come to good people.
hopefully.
And you're so brave to do that, because one final question here, I guess, is this sort of thing, as I said before, does happen. This ostracizing and cancel culture and mob culture and just bringing someone down just because it's so easy to do on your keyboard. You can just sit here in the morning and sip your coffee and just type whatever you want without really knowing the person, without knowing a thing about them. Just because everyone else is doing it, or just because you may feel a certain way, but that doesn't mean that you know the person. As you said, these articles sort of maligned you into this person who kind of walks on the street or walks around the campus and hurls insults at other people, which it seems by what you've told me, you're just trying to kind of get through your day and pass your courses, and which is difficult enough. What message do you have? We had several incidents that have kind of cropped up. Like there was a in Rutgers, there was a petition filed by primarily Hindu students and organizations and people who against this professor for her views. So these sort of incidents always come up, and it happened to me when I was at Harvard as well. I was sort of maligned for a stance that I took on my personal social media pages. And I wasn't even running for any position. I had already graduated from the university, and that led to, them threatening to throw me out of all the alumni groups, and it just kind of spiraled out of control. It does happen. And what, you face this so bravely and so positively, and I'm so happy to see a smile on your face on Sunday morning as we're really talking about these difficult sort of issues, and difficult things to overcome. What message do you have um, to the students that face this? Because as you said, not everybody, and nothing wrong with that, but it is really hard to find that voice within you. And if you don't have that support system, which you were lucky enough to have, if you do have to face this by yourself, it does lead you down some very negative paths, and things like committing suicide, negative thinking, really, which can lead to even worse consequences. What message do you have to the students who are facing this, or that do have to face this and perhaps don't feel safe in their communities and campuses? What do you have to say to them?
Firstly, I'm sorry, that you're going through this. This is like the first thing, because I've been through it, so I understand how hard it must be for you. And I'm really sorry that you're going through something so unfair and so terrible. And the second thing is that just try to connect with more people who might have had similar experiences. Like, for instance, I put my name out there, and I'm welcome to listen to anybody who might have gone through a similar incident. And we can form a shared platform and form the sort of support system that we may not have. So try to reach out, try to don't lose hope. That's one thing I want to say.
Important to
Like,
speak out about it rather than
yeah,
keeping it all in.
keep
Yeah.
it all, because it's going to encourage more people to like speak out, and then the chain will continue. And when more people speak about it, then these bullies and their voices, it's all going to die down. And what they say is not going to matter anymore. Now that I've taken my stand, the people who are saying terrible things about me, their opinions don't matter anymore. They're it's going to get better. And it's hard, because initially it's just their voice which is louder than yours. But when you start talking, the power in your genuinity and in your story is so much that all their voices are going to die down. And you're going to come out loud and clear. And your side of thing is going to take the upper hand, because it is the right thing by the end of the day, because you've done nothing wrong. So have faith. Please do not lose faith, and try to reach out. That there are people who are willing to help, and willing to form the support system and stuff like that. So do that, and never lose faith, no matter how hard it gets. And don't let them get to you and let them convince you that you've somehow made a mistake, or don't let them guilt you into it, because that's the last thing you want to do, because you are a wonderful person by the end of the day. And if you've never had that malicious intent, then have faith in your beliefs. And yeah, it's going to come out. I did say.
Thank you for saying that, because it is really important to speak up. If this happens to you, it takes a lot of courage, and it's very easy. Well, I should say it feels very easy to kind of suppress it and say, okay, you know what, just move on. I'll just deal with it and just let it happen. But, the minute you speak up, yes, you will face a lot of trolls. Yes, you will face a lot of ostracism. But as you said, Rashmi, you will always find support, along your way if you fundamentally believe that you've done nothing wrong, which is, the heart of the issue. If you felt that you've done nothing wrong, you will find that support from people to help you say that out loud and to help you really believe it. And that's what I think will spark a lot of change, as you said. So
Yeah.
thank you so much. My final question, I ask everyone this: is there anything that I haven't asked you that you would like to say?
No, I think you've covered it all. And thank you so much, Priyanka, for being so nice and giving me the platform to, take this thing forward so that, my voice is a little bit louder than that of the bullies because I feel after this interview, it's getting a little bit louder.
I hope, yeah, I can hear it all the way from here. So, no thanks to me at all. I've been looking forward to talk to you, in more ways than one, because, I've kind of faced this myself. So I know what you're going through. And in my small way, it never got this bad. But all I can say, it just congratulations for what you've achieved. You're going to have a very, very bright future. And this incident does not define you in any way. So, all the best to you, and you have all of my support for sure. And it was lovely talking to you, and thank you for being here on Sunday morning at 9 a.m. sharp. So thank you so much for taking your time out and really speaking up, because these were some very difficult, tough issues to kind of talk about. So I do want to thank you, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah. With that being said, we'll conclude our interview for TV9 News. This is Priyanka Deo. Please do like and share this video. A lot of stuff that Rashmi has said is super important. Please share this video, like and subscribe to TV9 News as well. That being said, we'll see you next time on TV9 News. Till then, this is Priyanka Deo signing off. Namaste.